I'm Karen, 28 years old, and divorced. After my first marriage failed when I was 25, I remarried a man I met at work a year ago. Now, my husband and I are enjoying a double income, no kids lifestyle. Today, on my day off, unfortunately, my husband had to work, so I thought it'd be a waste to just sit around alone. So, I decided to visit my parents' house, which I hadn't been able to do to my busy schedule. On my way back from running an errand my mom asked for, I spotted a person from my past within visible distance. I pulled my hat down to hide my face and started walking with my head down, trying to avoid them. Then, I heard a voice that still caused me a bit of pain. Still sulking? It was definitely directed at me. When I looked up, there she was, Emily, an old childhood friend and the reason for my first marriage's failure. She had stolen my ex-husband from me. She casually greeted me, seemingly unconcerned about everything. "Isn't it unusual to bump into you here? You're visiting home, huh?" I came back for the first time in a while. "Oh, I see. Came back home because you're alone and bored on your day off?" "Kind of. I thought maybe things got tough and you came running back here." "My bad," she said with a smirk, clearly not feeling sorry at all. To Emily, who successfully stole my ex from me, I must seem like a total loser. And she probably always will. Just when I had forgotten about those times, the memories came flooding back. I felt a heavy weight in my chest, and naturally, my gaze fell. "You're so easy to read, Karen." Emily, seeing my reaction, started laughing mockingly. "Still holding a grudge? People who can't be happy for others don't find happiness themselves, you know?" I thought, who's the twisted one here? Emily, who never wished for my happiness, is now laughing in that insincere way. She always had a knack for putting others down. "You know, you've always had your boyfriend stolen by me since high school. You still remember that?" "How could I forget? Stealing the most beautiful and smart girl's boyfriend? It meant I was the most beautiful girl in school. Felt invincible," she boasted. Emily hasn't changed, still taking pride in such old stories. "It's not like I was the most beautiful or smartest. Can we drop it? It's been over 10 years. "Oh come on, that false modesty of yours is what makes women enemies, you know? You never learn. Is that why your super successful husband left you? So, I guess I should thank you, huh?" It was clear this conversation wasn't going to end soon. Who's really being persistent here? Emily's nagging was just like it used to be in middle and high school. Emily and I went to the same middle and high school. Back then, it was obvious to anyone that she disliked me, yet she always found a way to get involved in my life. Back then, even if I just got a confession or had a boyfriend, she would pry into it and then make a move on them before me. She'd put on a cutesy act, and my boyfriends, for some reason, couldn't see through her. When I questioned them about spending time alone with Emily or reminded them that they were my boyfriend, they'd turn on me, taking Emily's side and painting me as the bad guy. Eventually, they would all end up with her, flaunting it in my face. No matter what, Emily always managed to take them all for herself. Looking back, it was all about boosting her ego. Despite being disliked by other girls, Emily didn't care. Her whole existence revolved around male attention. That's why I wanted to get as far away from Emily as possible. When I learned she got into a local university, I chose to go to a university and later work in New York, far from our hometown. Life without Emily was peaceful. I had a normal student life, good relationships, and even my parents noticed I smiled more after moving to New York. I was motivated and passed a national exam during my studies. Thanks to that, I got my first choice job. I met my ex-husband through work, we fell in love, and got married. I was happy, thinking I'd spend my life with him. But Emily didn't let my happiness last. Despite having no contact for over 10 years, she somehow heard about my marriage back in our hometown, got close to my husband, and stole him away. I realized something was off right after the wedding. The sweet newlywed life was short-lived, and my husband's behavior became suspicious. Despite being newlyweds, My husband was constantly working overtime and our nights together were almost non-existent. When we did have time, it lacked the feeling of being loved, like back when we were single. It felt rough, cold, just a way for him to let off steam. Soon, his excuses of staying overnight at work or going on business trips became frequent, and his visits home decreased. When he did come home after a few months, it was only to complain or grumble at me. "You're so sloppy. And you call yourself a wife? Stop making unnecessary meals. It's a waste of money. Do we even need this? If you're working, buy it with your own paycheck. It's so uncomfortable here. Wasting time with an unfriendly woman like you is the worst. Don't act all high and mighty just because you're a bit smart. Women should be charming, you know?" These were just the tip of the iceberg, and there were times when he even got physically abusive. I couldn't bring myself to tell my parents, who were overjoyed about their daughter's marriage. I tried to manage work and home life while walking on eggshells around my husband. It's just a phase, like some kind of marriage blues. If I stay supportive and understanding, he'll come back to being the kind man he was, I believed and lived each day hoping for that. However, one day when I came back from work, there was Emily, entangled with my husband in our living room, greeting me, "Karen, long time no see." The moment I saw that, I realized everything. Again. I thought, accepting the truth. I felt cursed by my own lack of judgment. I signed the divorce papers handed to me and left our love nest the same day. A few days later, while I was feeling down in the monthly apartment I had hastily rented, my mom sent me a confused text, "Karen, you've got a bunch of boxes here?" When I visited home, I found numerous boxes in my room, all sent by Emily, now having the same last name as my ex-husband. "Is this from Emily?" "Just like you guessed, Mom, it's that Emily," I told my speechless mother. I hadn't gone into details with her about the divorce. Or maybe it's more accurate to say I couldn't. But seeing the name on the boxes, she understood everything. Opening one of the haphazardly packed boxes was too overwhelming, so I quickly lay down on my bed, feeling exhausted. My mom, who had been watching from the doorway, didn't say a word. It took a year for those boxes to finally disappear from my room. Just recalling it makes me sick to my stomach, and now, the same person who caused all that damage is laughing in front of me again. Emily's tone hasn't changed from those days. "Oh, by the way, Tom's doing great at work. He might even become a department head soon. It's nice to have a husband on the fast track to success. Makes life so much easier, not having to work hard all the time." "I see. That's good. I don't want to end up like you, Karen. Not that I ever would." Such a meaningless conversation. I couldn't even bother to respond properly, but she kept throwing more topics at me. "What's the matter, Karen? Still sulking? Huh? Like I said earlier, people who can't be happy for others won't find happiness." "Is that so?" "It is. So why don't you come over to our place?" "What do you mean?" "Actually, we've had a baby." "Congratulations. It's the baby Tom and you couldn't have it." "So adorable. Tom's on a long business trip now, so I'm back at my parents' place." "I see. You should come over with your guy. You're still in New York, right?" "Yeah, but..." "Then come visit." "What?" "Come see our cute baby, the one you and Tom couldn't have." Emily's taunting face was just as I remembered, and I simply answered her. "Got it." "Really? For real?" "Emily said so, didn't she? She invited us to come over." "Well, yeah, but..." "So, it's settled then. We're going to visit your love nest with Tom. By the way, I'm still living in that house." "What?" "That's the house where Karen got dumped by Tom. You remember, right?" "Sure, I guess." "So, is next Sunday okay? Tom will be home then, he's usually busy. You have to come. See ya." Saying this with a beaming smile, Emily left. As I turned and watched her leave, my face twisted into a natural smile. Next Sunday, as promised, I headed over to Emily's place. I walked the path that I used to tread daily until about 2 years ago, feeling nostalgic. As I walked towards the House of Destiny, I thought to myself, I'm handling this better than I thought. "Hey, welcome!" Responding to the doorbell, the door opened from the inside. There, at the front door, holding a sleeping infant, Emily greeted us with an unnecessarily loud voice. Behind her, I saw the face of my ex-husband for the first time in a while. His expression still had that unmistakable look of condescension. But it's not like he was against me coming. On the contrary, his dark feelings were palpable, as if thinking about what he could do now that I was here. And then, Emily, ushering me inside, said, "Wait, who's this?" looking at the tall man with sunglasses standing behind me, her voice filled with confusion. "Oh, this is my husband." "Your husband?" "Yes. Actually, I got remarried last year." "What? I haven't heard anything about it. You didn't mention this the other day." My husband, who had been standing behind me, stepped beside me, his presence overwhelming. At that, Emily lost her train of thought. "Hello. Thank you for having us today. I'm Roy, Karen's husband." "Nice to meet you." My husband, taking off his sunglasses, greeted them with a friendly smile. In that instant, the two of them were speechless, their eyes wide open. Emily, after a pause, asked me in a hoarse voice, "Is he really your husband, Karen?" Her expression was more hoping for a denial than skeptical. "Yes, he's my husband." "Why would I lie and bring a stranger?" "But..." "Yeah, I get why you're surprised. Both of you know him, right?" I mean, how come you're with the vice president?" My ex-husband, unable to hide his confusion, finally spoke. Indeed, my husband was the vice president of his company, a position far above my ex-husband. He probably never imagined his ex-wife would bring the vice president to his private space. Still, my ex, being a company man, reluctantly brought out slippers for us, inviting us in while trying to maintain his composure. After we settled in the living room, Emily, who had apparently just put the baby to sleep, came in and confronted me with exaggerated gestures. "Why did you bring your husband knowing what kind of relationship we have with him?" "What do you mean?" "Are you playing dumb? You really are mean. Is this some kind of revenge against me? Why? Why would Karen of all people be with the vice president?" Emily started ranting irrationally and angrily. It was exactly as I expected. Probably, her pride was in tatters, especially after wanting to brag so much about her husband to me. Taking that into account, I began to interact with Emily. "What? Revenge? You're saying I remarried the vice president of the company where Emily had an affair with Tom, just to get back at her?" "That's right. You connected with the vice president for that reason, didn't you? What did you do? You really have a nasty character." "Oh really? I could say the same about Emily." "What? What do you mean by that?" "Emily, you heard about my relationships or marriages and deliberately sneaked in to snatch them away, right? That's pretty twisted, don't you think? A habit of wanting what belongs to someone else, no matter what it takes, sounds like a pretty distorted character to me." "Shut up!" Emily, her face turning red with anger at having her sore spot hit, was barking at me. I might be a little bad myself for finding her helpless threat even cute, but I hope that can be forgiven. Besides, my husband, the vice president, and I knew each other before. "What?" Emily might not have known since she was busy sneaking around, but my company has business dealings with my husband's company. "Sneaking around?" "It's true, isn't it?" "Well, yeah, but..." "So, I was in charge of my husband's company, and I've been going in and out of his company for a while. Right, Tom?" "Yeah." "So, I didn't stalk or take advantage of him like Emily did. It just naturally turned into those feelings, that's all. After all, I met my husband because my company had dealings with my ex-husband's company. It started when my ex-husband approached me when I was visiting his company. Remembering that, I couldn't help but smirk at my ex-husband's uncomfortable expression. But Emily was different. Even after hearing all this, she definitely attacked me. "Oh, so you were having an affair back then? What? You got close to such a handsome vice president, it's impossible not to have an affair, right? He's rich, competent, and his future is practically guaranteed. But isn't that the worst? Riding on someone else's divorce to justify an affair and move on? Karen, you're the worst." "What do you mean? What are you trying to say?" "I mean, your husband, Tom, a subordinate of the vice president, wasn't coming home even though he's newly married. You showed your vulnerable side to the vice president on purpose to get close to him, right? Then you switched from manager Tom to the vice president. That's so cunning." I'm almost impressed by such naive thinking. To that, I responded coolly to Emily. "That's not the case. I didn't even know about your affair until I got divorced." "What? You didn't realize I was having an affair?" "I knew something was up. But I didn't know who the other person was." "Then you should have blamed him. In a situation where Tom was already blaming me, if I did the same, it would only worsen things. But more than that, I thought it was a temporary escape from the stress of a new marriage and work, and that if I supported him, he would eventually come back." Putting it into words, I hurt myself with my own forgotten past. But Emily was relentless. "Lies. You knew and let it happen, just acting for your own convenience. That's not true. You've always been like that. Playing the tragic heroine, quickly catching the next man." "What? Your attitude, acting like a victim and making me the villain, really pissed me off. Beautiful, smart, with an unblemished character. Everyone sided with you. I really can't stand you." I had no idea that Emily had been persistently bothering me for such reasons, disrupting my student life. I was the one Emily made out to be the victim, losing allies by her own actions, but I was speechless at her self-centeredness. "Excuse me, but..." Seeing this, my husband stepped in between Emily and me. "Isn't that all just a vicious cycle you've created yourself? Huh? You dislike Karen. No matter what she does, it doesn't sit right with you. That's why you keep hurting her. From an outsider's perspective, your actions aren't exactly supportable, and it's human nature to want to help someone who's hurt. And it's not something Karen created. You made these bad actions all by yourself. Why are you complaining about Karen? You're the only one who can stop what you started, right?" Emily was speechless at my husband's completely reasonable words. Seeing her silenced, my husband continued. "About what I said earlier, it's true that I had professional interactions with Karen for a few years. It's true we knew each other. But I had no idea she was married to Tom until their divorce. Neither she nor Tom ever mentioned they were married at work. Nobody even knew they were dating. Why not? Our wedding was really just close family, so no one from our companies knew who the other was. And the main reason is, Tom didn't want people to know his company was involved with his girlfriend or wife." At my words, both my ex-husband Tom, looking embarrassed, and Emily, unable to comprehend, were puzzled. The reason for this was clear and well-founded. I decided to enlighten Emily. "Do you know why Tom didn't want people to know he was dating or married to me?" "Not at all. It makes no sense." "Well, Tom didn't want people to know he was dating someone who worked at a better company and held a higher position than him. That was just like him. He had to date someone of high caliber. But he didn't want anyone to know if they were above him. I get it from a male perspective, but then what about his affair with Emily? She was below him in both educational and employment levels, so he felt superior. His words still infuriate me. Just because you're a bit smart, don't get all high and mighty. A woman's charm is most important." Emily seemed caught up in my words. "Higher company and position? What do you mean?" "Exactly what I said." "What's that?" Unlike Emily, who never got a job and always worked part-time, I worked hard during college to get hired at my current company, and I've worked my way up to where I am now. So, it's ridiculous to think I'd jeopardize that for an affair. You get that, right, Emily? Emily was predictably infuriated by my words. What's that supposed to mean? What's your current position? You're saying you're different from me? Of course I am. A department manager who works hard compared to someone looking for men in part-time jobs? We're not even comparable. Department manager? Who's that? I've been talking about myself. I'm the manager. What? A manager at 30? Yes, I worked hard for it. A woman as a manager? A woman, yes. It's a modern era, Emily. Gender equality is a thing. Are you stuck in the past? I pressed on as Emily bit her lip in frustration. That's why I don't need my husband to climb the ladder, nor do I need to switch to a vice president. If I wanted more, I'd work for it myself. But I guess someone like Emily, who scouts for wealthy men in part-time jobs, wouldn't understand. Shut up. Maybe you used your charm to climb up. That's you, Emily, isn't it? What? You did the same recently. You seduced an elite guy at your part-time job and snatched him away. Once you had him, you quit the job and clung to him, stabbing the other woman in the back. Classic Emily. What? But you know, between Tom and me, I was the one earning more, right, Tom? Tom, looking down, nodded faintly to Emily's muttered disbelief. My salary, thanks to the company size, was about 1.7 times Tom's. Sure, this house was bought in Tom's name, and he alone took out the mortgage, not because I didn't have money, but due to Tom's pride. He didn't want to share a loan with his wife, saying, taking out a loan with the wife, too embarrassing if anyone finds out. He insisted on paying for everything, the luxury car, the honeymoon, even when I offered to share. He burdened himself unnecessarily. What? So, you're super rich? That's why I said, I don't need a man for his money. You must have a lot saved up. The divorce settlement. Give it to me. What? Her statement was completely out of left field. How could she get to such a conclusion from that conversation? It made me sigh softly, wondering if Emily really just cares about money. I didn't think about it in the rush of our talk, but yes. We need to divide the property. The earnings during the marriage belong to both spouses, right? Your income is also Tom's. It's unbelievable that Emily, who always does such unreasonable things, knows about this. Maybe because it's related to money. I sighed again at her triumphant look. So, you know about that. Of course. I have to know these things so I don't lose out. But, unfortunately for you. What? The statute of limitations for divorce property division is limited. It's been years already. So, you can't claim any property division. What? No way! As Emily complained and continued to harass me, Tom desperately tried to stop her. Why are you stopping me? Just stop it. Why? She's just lying because she doesn't want to pay. If I don't get tricked, I can get the property division from her. As Emily's voice cracked in her tirade, Tom calmly responded. That's not going to happen. What? Karen isn't lying. What? Why? You believe Karen over me. It's not about believing or not believing. Then why? Karen is the head of the legal department at her company. The legal department? Not just that. She graduated from Keydong University's law school and is well-versed in law. She passed the Judicial Scrivener exam, a national legal qualification, while still in college. She may not be a lawyer, but she has far more legal knowledge than average. Karen does? So just stop it. It's pointless. What? Why? Why are you so weak towards this damn woman? Tom's feeble responses made Emily furious, but Tom seemed unusually timid, almost evasive. Then my husband gave the answer. Hey, Tom. What is it? Why are you so scared? You've been off since you knew I was coming, haven't you? What are you talking about? Tom tried to play dumb, but my husband cut to the chase. By the way, were you really on a long business trip? What? I heard from Karen that when she met your wife last week, you were on a long business trip and that's why she and the kids went back to her parents' house. Yeah, that's what I heard. Right, Emily? What? Oh, yeah. I said that. But you haven't been on any long business trips in the past few months, have you? What? Well, I've seen you at the office almost every day this week. When did you go on this long business trip? Well, Tom was flustered and at a loss for words at my husband's unexpected bombshell. From his reaction, the gray area was turning very black. Emily. Tom is cheating. What? He lied about being on a long business trip to send you and the kids to your parents' house while he cheated. Check the back of Tom's closet. Emily looked shocked and confused at Tom's guilty expression. Go on. Check it. I urged her, and despite her doubts, Emily obediently went to the closet. Soon after, Emily's scream echoed through the house. She returned holding a pastel-colored paper bag. How did you know about that place? It was simple. Tom used to hide paper bags there when he was with me. What? You didn't expect that, right? I didn't know who, but I knew there was someone. Tom's not very clever, so I figured he'd hide it in the same place. I hit the nail on the head. The worst. Emily threw the paper bag at Tom, and its contents scattered everywhere. Loungewear, underwear, a pouch likely containing skincare products, it all felt the same as that time. While I gazed at these familiar items, my husband gently tapped my head. Tom. Yes? Your affair was with Nicole from your department, right? What? Your actions at work have already reached human resources and administration. They know about what you and she were doing in the office. You're kidding! The higher-ups are already discussing it. You understand that we can't just leave this be. What? No way! That's a complete private matter. You're the one who brought your private life into the workplace. But what you did is a clear violation of our company's compliance. Compliance? You'll receive an email from the investigation committee today. Answer it and then stay home for a while. My husband's face was calm. Emily was furiously grappling with Tom. Tom, in his pitiable state, was pleading with my husband. Emotions swelled from somewhere deep within me. The soft, weak cries from a distant room suddenly enveloped the air in silence. Emily's anger turned to tears as she ran towards the sound. In the living room, only the slumped figure of Tom remained. A month has passed since then, and today, for the first time in a while, my husband and I both had a day off. We had a leisurely morning with brunch, and I was preparing our post-meal drinks. By the way. Huh? Tom got divorced, it seems. Sitting on the sofa, I lightly responded to my husband's topic. After his suspension, the investigation committee interviewed him. Following the handover, Tom was transferred to a small branch office in the countryside. Being sent to the countryside, off the path of an elite, and all because of his affair, Emily couldn't forgive the blow to her pride and anger, leading to their divorce. Well, I can somewhat understand her feelings. I was hurt and my pride was shattered back then. It wasn't about who was earning more. It felt like being trampled on as a person. But well, it's like karma for his ex-wife, right? An eye for an eye? Tom glanced at me briefly. Emily used to say, those who can't wish for others' happiness will never be happy themselves. She never wished for my happiness, so she ended up just like her own words. I smiled as I accepted the warm herbal tea my husband handed to me. He sat beside me, gently tapping my head as usual. It's going to be all right, his unspoken words comforted me countless times. A natural smile spread across my face, and I instinctively placed my hand on my belly, a recent habit. My husband joined in, placing his hand over mine. It's still not moving, right? Not at 10 weeks, probably. I can't wait to meet our baby. I want to feel it too. My husband, envious of the sensation only a mother could feel. We had been married for a year, and though we said we wanted to enjoy our time together first, His unexpected enthusiasm was a delightful surprise. I have a feeling we're going to be such doting parents. Me? Who else? Who else but you? Well, I can't deny that. His expression, one I had never seen before, must be his face as a father. I knew I'd see many new sides of my husband in the future, exciting yet slightly daunting. Life isn't always filled with happiness, a lesson I've learned well. But I'm confident we can face even negative situations positively. And I'm sure I'll be a great dad. I think so too. And I'm confident I'll always be a good husband. What? Turning to him, I saw him smiling at me with tender eyes, and my earlier anxieties seemed to fade away. Together, we'll be just fine. Rest easy and come into this world, I thought, gently stroking my growing belly.